place I really like to write is not what I have at home. When I go overseas, I always stay in a very nice bed and breakfast, which has the most beautiful desk, the most beautiful view out of the window, and I sit in this little nook in this beautiful desk, in this beautiful chair, and I look at the garden out the window, and that's where I love to write. And so it inspires me just sitting there because it is so beautiful. In my own home, the area where I write has a wall against it. I haven't got a window, and I would love to have a window. So in my next house, I will make sure my study has a window. However, it's a very big space. I've got plenty of space to put things there. It's got books. I have books on the desk, as well as all my writing things. It's very neat, however. I'm a very neat person. And I write with a computer. I used to write by hand, and thinking I'd never ever be able to use a computer. I do keep notebooks, and I write notes all the time, and I carry a notebook around with me, and they pile up, and every day then I go back and find one that I wrote 4 years ago and think, oh, that's a good idea, I might write a book about that. So I have notebooks, and I have books on my desk, my computer, and really that's about it. And then I sit down, and once I get into the story, I don't need much around me. I do have one little trick. One thing I always do is when I finish a chapter, I always start the next chapter. So when I come back the next day, I have the beginning of the chapter there. I find that's a really great motivator to sit down the next day and start writing. And sometimes it's only 3 or 4 paragraphs of the next chapter, but that keeps me going. As a writer, you never think it's any good. It's never good enough. I have incredible insecurities about my writing. And I think I'll have insecurities all my life. Every now and then I write something, I think, wow, that's good, I really like that. I'm feeling like that about the beginning of my next book. But no matter how much you write, you never really feel secure that you're writing well, especially when you compare yourself with somebody else. And so the only reason you know that you're writing well is if you get that wonderful moment when a child says to you, this is the best book I've ever read, and that's happened to me once. And so that's why I know, okay, this is all right. And when somebody buys your next book, if someone's bought the first one and buys the second one, you think that's okay. But in terms of how do you know you're writing well, when the words are flowing, you think so, you feel better, but you never really feel confident. I try to ignore criticism quite a lot. I have close people I trust. I'm happy for them to help me. I have used an editor in the past, and I say to them, be as brutal as you can be. I don't care how brutal you are, because you're my editor. But I don't take kindly to gratuitous comments. I think I know what is not perfect, and I really don't know that I want to have lots of people telling me that and making me feel bad. But I like an expert to tell me, and if an expert tells me, that's fine, and I don't care how much they criticise me. Other people, I think, write a book first and then come up with your criticism, which is a bit brutal, I know. But we are a society that tends to look for what's wrong instead of what's right. And I think teachers have that habit. Get out the red pen. Let's actually start saying, well, what I really love about this, whatever it is, and then come to the criticism if you must. But if you're not an expert writer, well then perhaps go and write a book. Well, I often laugh too, and I sometimes talk to my characters, but mostly I just feel happy. I don't. It's hard to explain the emotion, but I think I feel happy when I feel like the words are flowing. When the words are not flowing, I probably get a bit frustrated sometimes, but that doesn't happen too often because I find that you just keep writing. The worst thing is, I think, if you say I'm going to write for 4 hours, then you should try to do so. If you say, oh, I haven't got any words in me, I can't do anything, it's better to keep trying and come back later than it is to walk away and come up with no words at all at the end of the day. Sometimes you find the words are better than you thought they were. Sometimes you find they're not very good. But I mean, my last book, I looked at the figures on my computer, and I had proofread it 41 times. So to think that the first draft is your book, it never is. And I think 41 is probably not as many as I really actually did, because I put it on my iPad as well. I read it on my iPad. And the book I just had is at the publisher right at this moment. The first proof copy came to me. It's been read more times than I can tell you. I still found 2 errors. So you don't really ever finish a book. But then there comes a time when you have to say, I'm going to let go now. Otherwise you would go crazy and you would never publish anything.